When people talk about soul and R&B, the same names always come up: Aretha, Marvin, Stevie. But beneath the spotlight, there's a treasure chest of forgotten bands who never got their due. These groups weren't less talented. They were just swallowed by the noise of the industry, poor marketing, or bad timing. Yet, their music is raw, real, and timeless. Today, we're uncovering 12 of these bands you absolutely need to hear. Some brought funk to the forefront. Others laid down harmonies so rich they could make you cry. Think of this as a journey through the underground, where the grooves are deep and the voices are unforgettable. You'll discover bands who should have been legends, songs that deserve to top charts, and stories that remind us just how many hidden gems music history hides away. By the end, you'll have a new playlist and maybe even a new favorite band. Let's dive in. In the early 1970s, three young men from Harlem formed a group called Black Ivory. They had smooth harmonies that echoed the greats, and their ballads had the power to stop time. Their song "Don't Turn Around" became a cult favorite, but they never reached the commercial success of their peers. Why? The industry shifted quickly toward disco, leaving many soul balladeers behind. But listen closely, and you'll hear something unique: the vulnerability in their voices, the pain and sweetness in every lyric. Black Ivory wasn't just another harmony group. They were storytellers of heartbreak and young love. Even today, their tracks sound fresh, intimate, and deeply emotional. If you want to feel what soul music is truly about, the tenderness, the struggle, the longing, Black Ivory is essential. They may not have filled arenas, but they filled every note with honesty. That's why they remain one of the most powerful yet overlooked R&B groups of their time. Memphis in the late 1960s was buzzing with soul thanks to Stax Records. Among their roster, one group stood out: the Soul Children. Formed by Isaac Hayes and David Porter, they were meant to carry the Stax torch after Sam Dave left, and they did, with fire. Mixing gospel-inspired vocals with raw funk grooves, the Soul Children created music that was both spiritual and gritty. Songs like "Hearsay" and "I'll Be the Other Woman" hit hard, combining male-female vocal interplay that felt like a church service colliding with a juke joint. They had the talent, they had the sound, but they never broke into superstardom. Why? Stax Records was collapsing in the mid-70s, and their momentum got cut short. Yet their catalog is pure gold. You can hear their influence in later R&B duos and groups, and their harmonies still electrify. The Soul Children remind us that sometimes the brightest sparks burn just outside the mainstream spotlight. Hailing from Detroit, a city known for Motown's polished sound, the dynamics were different. They had the smoothness of Motown, but injected a raw edge that set them apart. Their single, "Ice Cream Song," is a gem of soul perfection, yet it never climbed high on the charts. That's the tragedy of the dynamics. They were just a step outside the Motown machine. Without Berry Gordy's promotional muscle, they struggled to reach wider audiences. Still, what they recorded was nothing short of masterful. Their harmonies were tight, their grooves irresistible, and their storytelling captured everyday struggles with authenticity. Listening to them now feels like discovering a secret Motown parallel universe. They weren't household names, but they should have been. If you want to explore what Detroit soul sounded like beyond the Motown bubble, the Dynamics are your ticket. They remind us that even in Motown's shadow, brilliance was thriving. In Baltimore, the Whatnauts were blending R&B with funk before most even caught on. They delivered messages of love, unity, and sometimes social change, wrapped in irresistible grooves. Their track, "I'll Erase Away Your Pain," is one of the most heart-wrenching soul ballads you'll ever hear. Yet they also knew how to make you dance, with songs that laid the groundwork for future funk and even hip-hop sampling. In fact, their music has been heavily sampled in rap, which kept their spirit alive in unexpected ways. The Whatnauts prove that great bands don't fade. They echo through generations in samples, covers, and hidden playlists. They deserved bigger recognition, but what they left behind continues to inspire. When you listen to them, you'll wonder how they didn't dominate the charts. They had everything: a sound ahead of its time, tight musicianship, and vocals that could melt the hardest heart. Before funk exploded into the mainstream, there was Dyke the Blazers. Their track, Funky Broadway, is often credited as the first record to use the word funky in a song title. That alone cements their legacy. But beyond history-making, their sound was raw, gritty, and bursting with energy. Arlister Dyke Christian led the band with a powerful voice and a groove-heavy vision. Sadly, Dyke's life was cut short when he was killed in 1971, halting the group's momentum. Yet, the blueprint they left behind shaped the funk movement that James Brown and others took global. Listening to Dyke, the Blazers is like hearing the birth of funk in real time, dirty, unpolished, and revolutionary. They might not be remembered in every textbook, but without them, funk as we know it would sound very different. They're not just obscure, they're foundational. If you love silky harmonies, the Independents are a must-hear. Rising in the early 70s, they crafted romantic soul ballads that rivaled the Stylistics and the Chai Lights. Their hit, Leaving Me, is a masterpiece, dripping with passion and lush arrangements. But here's the thing, while they had the talent and a few charting singles, they never sustained their success. Shifting music trends, lack of strong promotion, and the overwhelming competition in the R&B scene buried them. Yet, listening to their songs today feels like unearthing diamonds. Their harmonies were near perfect, their emotional delivery unmatched. If you crave that classic slow jam soul that speaks directly to the heart, the Independents deliver in every way. They may be forgotten by many, but in the world of true soul lovers, they're treasured. Philadelphia gave the world the Delphonics, but it also produced another gem, the Ethics. With silky falsettos and lush Philly soul arrangements, the Ethics should have been huge. They had everything: talent, style, and unforgettable melodies. But while the Delphonics went on to fame, the Ethics slipped into obscurity. Their single, Sad Sad Story, is haunting, showcasing vocals that can cut deep into your emotions. Listening to them feels like stepping into the heart of Philly soul's golden era, yet with a sense of mystery. Why didn't they make it big? That's the beauty and tragedy of obscure bands. Sometimes it's not about talent, it's about timing and luck. The Ethics may have been overshadowed, but their music remains just as beautiful, just as moving. They're proof that Philly soul had more hidden treasures than most people realize. With a name like the Skull Snaps, you wouldn't expect silky soul, but that's exactly what they delivered, alongside some of the hardest funk grooves of the 70s. Their self-titled album from 1973 is now a cult classic, beloved by collectors and hip-hop producers alike. In fact, their drum breaks have been sampled countless times in rap, making them one of the most influential unknown bands ever. Yet during their time, they barely made a ripple on the charts. Their mix of smooth vocals and raw funk was ahead of its time. Listening today, it feels modern, timeless, and still daring. The Skull Snaps show us how music can outlive commercial failure, because when future generations discover it, the impact is undeniable. They might not have been stars, but they were innovators. So why dive into these obscure R&B and soul bands? Because they remind us of something vital. Music history isn't just written by the winners. It's written in the overlooked, the almost famous, the groups who had everything but the break. Black Ivory, the Soul Children, the Dynamics, the Whatnauts, Dyke the Blazers, the Independents, the Ethics, the Skull Snaps. These names may not fill arenas, but their songs still fill hearts. And once you hear them, you'll wonder how you ever lived without them. That's the beauty of soul. It never dies. It just waits to be rediscovered.